Style in pen spinning. What is it, and how do we know when we found our style? Style isn't necessarily something that one just finds after looking for it. It's more of something that develops over time through the types of linkages one practices. Style is not necessarily a different way of spinning, but more of the combination of your strengths and weaknesses as a spinner. The style one develops has to do with what you practice. So what do you practice to get your desired so-called style? Well, first of all, we need to know what styles really mean for the most people, and kinds they actually are. Now, I do agree these categories of styles are going to be fairly controversial things, as I'm about to describe are often considered completely different things, such as the way of executing a trick versus a technicality of using two pens. Anyway, now that I've gotten my disclaimer out of the way, let's just look at these different types of categories many people put them under. The first one you may have heard of is aesthetic. Aesthetic is just a way of looking at tricks and the way you spin. Aesthetic being the complete opposite of technical. On this technical to aesthetic scale, aesthetic spinners focus more on the visual effects of their spinning and spin with the goal of making their spinning look aesthetically pleasing, hence the name. An aesthetic spinner would disregard any material for being hard and only use different tricks for their looks. On their polar opposite, let's look at technical. Also sometimes called the style of complexity. Complexity is determined by spinning with a greater focus on the technical side of the aesthetic to technical slider. Technical spinners spin with the goal of making their tricks harder or more dense. Of course, basically every spinner has to start somewhat technically based, because it's impossible to learn any tricks without focusing on landing the tricks. But once they learn more tricks, spinners may choose to switch sides, going down the more aesthetic route. Another way of spinning is with the focus of wipers. A wiper is a certain trick where the trick is normally held near the end and the pen passes through the fingers like this. This is one of the only tricks where it's impossible to do if the pen is infinitely long. Some people call performing this trick a lot in their combos as having a wiper style or theme, where these tricks are the primary aspect of their combos. Of course, with the focus of wipers, they could either be aesthetically focused or technically focused. The aesthetic and technical scalar never really goes away no matter what other style you spin with. Another way of spinning is called power. Power is a term that comes from the infamous power tricks indicated by their extreme difficulty, where the pen flies in the air, is pushed fingerlessly, or is spinning on top of some part of your hand, arm, or body. Most of the world records are power-based, as they can normally be done continuously. Another so-called style is known as counters. A counter is a type of trick where the pen spins in one direction and then changes directions. It's that simple. Counter-based combos will have a lot more change in directions compared to other combos. Counters are often, but not always, combined with power by using fingerless counters. Again, these so-called styles are not definite rules or binary values. Instead, they're just different elements or tricks of categories one can use in their combos. Another way of spinning is with two hands. Like the name suggests, you spin with two hands instead of just one. Nothing much to say about this one, just learn about how to spin with your non-dominant hand first, then combine both hands to create unique ideas with two hands. This can be combined well with both counters, power, and obviously aesthetic or technical. Another way of spinning is with multiple pens. Like the name suggests, you spin with multiple pens, normally two or more. Although you can do this with one hand, you can also do this with both hands. Doing this is called two pen, two hands, notated by 2P, 2H. You can also combine these with all the previously mentioned themes. Another way of spinning is finger crosses. This one is definitely the most reliant on hand genetics, but one can still definitely learn some finger crosses with average genetics. Fully finger cross combos are not very common, as not many people can create fully good finger cross combos. The best example of this style being Saltian, who came second in World Tournament 2021. The final style of spinning is probably the most unique in its presentation, and its way of spinning is known as Standup. This basically means you're standing up in front of the camera, and your whole upper body is presented. Some of the best stand-up spinners say that planning these are much different compared to normal spinning, mainly because it's such a different form of angle and presentation, which is a huge factor. These have been some of the most common themes of pen spinning. They are commonly differentiated in the pen spinning Olympics, where there are different categories including these themes and separate judging for them completely. Thanks for watching. If you like this kind of video, let me know and feel free to check out my other videos too. See you next time.